So hi everyone, this is the welding process. You can see our setup here. We've got this 2x4 with this plank at the end. That plank kind of keeps it sturdy as we go over it. Sticking out of the 2x4, we come over and show them they've got these nails sticking out. And we lay this pull on these nails. This is the same type of conduit that we're going to be using to actually hold up the collector. So we want to weld around this so that we get holes that are the right size to hold this pull. Alright, so what we also use is, we like to use parchment paper, is our welding paper. You could also use wax paper, it works similarly. But parchment paper, according to Google, wax paper cause issues with your iron, and parchment paper also has a nice visualization that you can see pretty well how the weld is doing. So we've got this part here, and I'll just do a weld around the edge. So what we do is we wrap it under. You'll have lines marked showing you exactly where you want to be welding. So we wrap it under, wrap it over.
Give some more space so that we have a corner. No, more space on this side. Make this side longer.
Okay. Yeah. You wrap it under, and you line it up. Again, you have lines marked telling you where to line everything up so that you know where you want the welds to be and where you want it to be in the collector based off the collector size. You've got diagrams for all of that. You lay it out, try to get it as flat as possible, lay it on the 2x4, and then you just apply heat using the iron.
And a good way to make sure that everything's squared up, assuming that your angles so far have been exact, is the tops of these should be lined up.
Yes. Alright, so then you just apply heat on the iron. Nice with the parchment paper, you'll see it kind of darken. As it gets darker, that's kind of an indicator that this is good enough, that you've kind of welded that section pretty well. Just apply pressure for some amount of time. You'll get a feel for exactly how much time. You can over or under weld, but as long as you see the parchment paper darken, if you have it fully covered, that's a pretty good indicator. If you're doing a tighter weld where you don't have all this extra space, it might not darken as much and you'll have to kind of feel it out a little more. But again, you'll get a feel for that as you go through the process. As long as you use this method at first, it should work out pretty well. It's pretty rare that we have a big issue with over or under welding any area.
And if you do make mistakes like over welding, under welding, you just go over it again. If you over weld and it melts through the plastic, you can patch it by just slapping another sheet.
Yes.
Small sheet on there.
That works very well. Alright, so we'll just weld this section here. Once you're done with the section, peel off the parchment paper, pull it down, line it up with the last section, and just keep going. You don't want the iron to directly contact the torque, so be careful about that. How far do we want to go, the whole way or just stop?
I think that's fine.